What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. As y'all know, it's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate you guys supporting and getting us this far. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by the incredible Royce the 5'9". Thank you for coming through, sir.
Thank you for having me, Legend. How you feeling?
Man, just good to see you again after this pandemic. You know, it's been a minute.
Likewise, man. Likewise. It's good to see you. Look like you're doing well. You know what I mean? That's refreshing to see and hear, considering that, the circumstances in the world. The world is really fucked up right now.
Yes.
So it's good to see you. It's good to see you doing good, man.
Yeah, likewise. And congratulations on your continued success. I've known Royce more or less his whole career, essentially since the 90s. So It's always good when we get to reconnect, man. So
of course.
Yes. So one of the many things that's I'm really impressed and that you got going on is all your production and the evolution of that. So early on in the game, no pun intended, with game recordings, I wanted to talk about, doing stuff with Reef early, DJ Premier early, and because they're very different stylistically, what did you notice, learn from, and see from them that kind of taught you as a writer early on?
Preem. See, the thing with Preem, man, like I learned so much from Preem because he's very passionate about teaching, first of all, and he tells these cool stories, and his memory is impeccable. Like, he remembers everything from every era, and I think the reason why me and him vibe so well, and it's so easy for us to make music together that people like, is because of how much we connect just as people. You know what I mean? So I wasn't privy to any of his like tricks or anything that he did production wise, because he was always so private about that early on, until we did the Prime stuff. And then, like, by that time we were like super tight, so he didn't mind me watching him do stuff. You know what I mean? So early on, there wasn't anything about his production style that I was able to see that would teach me anything, but just those long conversations that I would have with him. You know what I mean? And just like the input that he would give when I was cutting vocals and he was hitting the talk back, but he would be like, I think you can hit that better. I think you could, even if it's something that I would disagree with, I would just do it because it's DJ Premier. You know what I mean? Like, he could be wrong, but when he's been right, it doesn't get any righter. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm gonna go ahead and take his word for it. You know what I mean? And Reef is kind of like the same way, man. Like, we connected as homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, Reef is family, man. You know what I mean? So when I first worked with Reef, it was actually the first thing that I ever did that actually came out, which was the Bad Meets Evil vinyl. We recorded that before M's first album came out. So the first time people heard me, I believe it was probably M's first album, and then immediately following was that piece of vinyl. And it was a song called Scary Movies, and the B-side was Nothing to Do, like the game vinyl that you were talking about. So through that process, me and Reef, we just got real cool. We just got real cool in that process. We spent a lot of time around each other. He was coming around game recordings a lot. I hadn't heard of him prior to. He came recommended by my boy Shecky Green. You know what I'm saying? So and we just ended up getting cool, man. We've been cool ever since. You know what I mean? So Reef is one of those guys. He come through. Back then, guys would come through like him, Alchemist. Who else? A whole bunch of guys would just come through, and they would come through with DATs. Remember DATs?
Oh yeah.
They would come through with the DATs full of beats. We call them bounces now. You know what I mean? So he would come through with DATs full of beats and just play shit. And I don't think I ever recall a time where Reef played a beat that I didn't like the beat. You know what I mean? Like, it may not have been like, oh, I got to write to that right now, but everything that he's ever played, I at least identified it as good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and shit, Preem would be like, okay, you want a beat? All right, I'm gonna have one for you. And he'd just do a beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the beat that you get. Like Preem didn't give you options back in the day. You know, that was just his policy. But I think part of that was him knowing his iconic status, and the other part of it was him knowing that he's gonna nail it. You know what I'm saying? So shit. When we did Boom, I showed up to the studio and he was actually making Boom for Capone-N-Noreaga.
Wow. Okay.
But Capone-N-Noreaga hadn't showed up yet. So he's doing Boom and he's playing it. And I'm like, well, he was like, oh man, I'm about to do your beat in a minute. Let me just finish this one up. And I was like, well, what the fuck is this? He was like, oh, I'm doing this for Nori. And I was like, I looked around a couple corners like, Nori here? And he was like, nah, he ain't get here yet. I was like, oh, hell no, you got to give me that. You can make Nori another one. And I talked him out of it and I ended up with that one. So
congratulations.
That's pretty cool. I know, right? Congratulations in order.
Yeah, that worked out really well. So
that worked out pretty well.
Obviously, DJ Premier does a lot of sampling, and you have this contest going on with Tracklib. So what's that, and how can people get involved and learn about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just all producers, all up and coming producers. You know, whatever you consider yourself, beat maker. Just submit your best work to tracklib.com, and shit, I'm just gonna go through all of that shit with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm gonna pick the best shit, and the winner gets to do a session with me. You know, so we're gonna come in, we're gonna get together. Somebody's gonna inspire me to want to get back in here. And I come to the studio every day, but I haven't really been recording that like that. So somebody's gonna inspire me to record again. You know what I mean? I already been going through a lot of the stuff that's been coming through, and it's already it's a whole bunch of fire. You know what I mean? Like, people are just incredibly talented these days, man. You know what I mean? And some of these guys or girls or whatever are making beats and shit like in their room, and they may think it's just okay, but they may have the potential to be great. You know what I mean? So I think vibe is everything. Vibe is everything, and morale is everything. So it's a good opportunity to raise the morale, and it's some fun shit to do. It's some cool shit to do.
Yeah, and then also Tracklib does stuff with sampling, and given our ages, when we came up and everything, the music we grew up loving, a lot of it, most of it had samples and was sample based. So for you, and obviously working extensively with Premier, even with Boom, with Rage and all the other samples, Guru on there as well, sampling has always been a foundational point for your music and a lot of the people you worked with. So before you got into it professionally, what did you enjoy about sampling in particular?
I like the reflip, you know what I mean? Like, when I started really being around beat makers like Mr. Porter, and I started hearing them speak highly about guys like Dilla, and I started being able to identify why Dre sounded like Dre and why Q-Tip sounded like Q-Tip, Tribe sounded like Tribe, and the different nuances to one style. It started becoming really, really interesting to me. You know what I mean? Like, the way that Just Blaze can make a sample sound versus the way that Dr. Dre can make a sample sound or replay a sample and it sounds better than the sample. You know what I mean? And just like the different mix ears that certain producers have, you know what I mean? And just their strengths versus their weaknesses. It's all interesting to me. It's just as interesting as psychoanalyzing MCs. You know what I'm saying? And it's all barbershop talk. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of it. It's just fun.
Yeah. And that to me is the brilliance of it, because using Dre as an example, we've heard some of the samples he's used multiple times himself, and just the different ways that he uses them are shocking. And then Premier has produced Guru, but then has sampled Guru's voice so many times over the years, and his other work outside of Gangstar, it's remarkable. And for you, when things are sample based, and how do you find, especially when Premier's cutting and scratching something in the chorus, do you find that you're like inspired by the sample of the lyrics that are coming in? Does that affect you at all creatively?
I'm trying to think, has there ever been a time? Yeah, well, I'm sure it has been, where he sent me a beat and the scratches were already on there. Usually he lays those after the verses.
Oh, okay.
That's normally how Preem works, because usually the verses inspire the scratches for him. You know what I mean? But sometimes I'm sure there's been a time where he sent me a beat and the hook was already scratched on it. I just can't remember. The song we got called Dean. Yeah, okay. he put the scratches on there already. And shit, that inspired the whole song. So it was easy for me to just write the verses, because I just kind of like followed the blueprint. So I mean, it could go anyway. You know what I mean? Just depending on the situation. It's just like if somebody asks, like, what's my writing style? Do I listen to the beat loud? Do I write at the house? Do I write in the car? The answer to that is I've done it all. You know what I mean? Like whatever I need to do, whatever feels the best is what I do. You know, sometimes I may write it down, sometimes I may not write it down. You know what I mean? But I try not to go with just a particular thing. You know what I mean? Like whatever suits the moment is what I'm pretty much gonna do.
Okay. And at least as somebody that's been prolifically putting out music now for more than 20 years, one of the things that we've talked about over the years, but I always have appreciated about you, is your ability to adjust your flow, adjust your style, and adjust how fast you rap on top of all that. Like, let's go with Twister, for instance, from Rock City. You know, you had the different flow that was more twistery, or however people would want to say it. And then you have other songs, of course, where you're real mellow and laid back in the cut. So writing wise, over the years, since you're still making great music and still putting out a lot of material, how have you found that you've adapted or switched within that process of the adjustments?
I feel like working on self is what I pretty much focus on. You know, of course I listen to what's going on. Not just so I know what's going on, but just because I like to hear what's going on. You know what I mean? I like to hear where everybody's at, you know, lyrically, creatively. It's fun to do. I try to do it as a fan as much as I can, you know what I mean? But I find that I get the most fulfillment, and I find the most success. When I say success, I mean actually completing something that I feel fulfilled with after I complete it, before people even hear it. I find that I achieve that in my own headspace when I just get better with self. Like, the more I know about myself, the more I can work on myself. And I feel like if I can improve as a person, then the music will automatically improve. You know, no matter what everybody's doing in the climate, you know, like, if you evolve, the music will evolve, you know what I mean? And you'll figure out a way to make adjustments, because, you know, your finger on the pulse of the culture will just be, you know, what it's always been. So you, as an artist, if you're following everything, then you should know what you should be saying, how you should be saying it. You know, you should have a firm grasp on what's dated, what's not, and, you know, how to execute. Once we start to lose that, is usually when we change something, either about our lifestyle, or we just somehow check out, you know what I mean? And we take on like a different approach to just everything that kind of like connected you to the culture to begin with.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? So, I try to just, this is what I tell the youngins that I mentor. Like, this shit is a lifestyle. It's not, you can't hit the clock. You know, the second you start thinking that you can come in from 9 to 5 and, you know, like, live a double life and be doing other things, like, it's gonna show, you know. So I try to just live it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because people are always amazed with me when they talk to me and they're like, wait, you really just only listen to rap? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But like, what off of my conversation would make you think otherwise? Like, I don't get it. But anyway.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles,
the streets definitely set the tone of the hip hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Young TV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The history of gangster rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The history of gangster rap in stores now.